CERN and NASA discovered something rather interesting in Antarctica that was, supposedly anyway, accidentally leaked to news and media. News and media then, a day later, quickly swept it under the rug. But before we do get into that, in my last video where Bill Gates had released mosquitoes, or Bill Gates and mosquitoes, I had made an evil tier list. In that tier list, I had Bill Gates in the more evil category, but I bumped him up to the most evil right above CERN. But in this tier list, I'm going to go ahead and keep Bill Gates right where he is, but I'm going to go ahead and take CERN and bump them up to the burn in hell category, but still right before and second to the World Economic Forum. Now, I do like where Kenneth Copeland currently is, so we're going to go ahead and keep him in the evil category. I don't think he's as evil or dangerous as Bill Gates or CERN, so he shouldn't be next to them. And then we have the MFers on the planes who are causing a lot of chaos on planes. We still do not know who they are yet, so we're going to go ahead and keep them in the who is this category. We do have two new additions to the tier list. We have NASA and Boeing. Now, it's very hard where I'm going to go ahead and place NASA. I do not think they're as dangerous as the World Economic Forum or CERN, so we're just going to go ahead and place NASA in the most evil category, just right before Bill, I don't know. We'll go ahead and place them in the more evil category. I don't think they're even as dangerous as Bill Gates. NASA lies a lot. Now, last but not least, we do have Boeing. We're going to go ahead and place Boeing in the most evil category, but right before Bill Gates. The reason why Boeing is so high up in the tier list happens to be because a lot has come out from the whistleblowers, the same whistleblowers who mysteriously lost their lives back to back. Rush productions, false parts put on planes could have cost a lot of lives. So I think as of right now, the evil tier list is perfect. We are going to look at the evil tier list in the introduction of my videos every Saturday. Moving back to the second highest in the evil tier list, CERN. Now, most people already know that CERN does not have the only Large Hadron Collider or the particle accelerator in the world. There are other particle accelerators. There's one in the United States, Japan, China, and so forth. All these different locations have a particle accelerator, but what about Antarctica? I am sure Antarctica has a particle accelerator hidden somewhere. Now, Antarctica actually has something different, but even more interesting. They have what is known as the Ice Cube Neutrino Observatory. The Ice Cube Neutrino Observatory is a neutrino observatory developed by the University of Wisconsin-Madison and constructed at the Edmundson Scott South Pole Station in Antarctica. This Ice Cube Neutrino Observatory is recognized as a CERN experiment. So supposedly, this Ice Cube Neutrino Observatory was not developed by CERN, supposedly anyway, because CERN scientists are everywhere, even inside the Vatican. Even though it was not designed by CERN, it's still recognized as a CERN experiment. I wonder why. This neutrino observatory has thousands of sensors which are located under the Antarctic ice, distributed over a cubic kilometer. So then, why did they choose Antarctica in the first place to build the largest neutrino observatory? Well, the only thing the public had been told was that Antarctica has an overabundance of neutrinos, and they can also easily find these neutrinos inside the Antarctic ice. I have spoken about neutrinos in the past in other videos because neutrinos are important to CERN and other organizations, perhaps the most important quote-unquote particle to these organizations, so much so that the United States is building a $3 billion neutrino experiment referred to as the Deep Underground Neutrino Experiment, Project Dune, a large-scale project currently under construction in the United States aimed at studying neutrinos by sending a beam of them from Fermilab, once again the United States CERN, in Illinois to a detector located deep underground in South Dakota, spanning a distance of around 800 miles. These neutrinos, or another word for neutrinos happens to be ghost particles or specters, are supposedly found in everything, even bananas. They have studied neutrinos in bananas, so why does the United States need to build a $3 billion experiment just to fire off neutrinos to study them. CERN is just not interested in smashing particles together. They are not spending billions and billions of dollars just to smash particles together, but they have also said they are very interested in finding other dimensions, secret dimensions. They even have on their website the blueprints to creating a wormhole. They successfully found a way to access a higher dimension because they said a fourth dimensional entity, a ghost, which they dubbed once again a ghost particle, a neutrino, crossed over into our dimension, leading them to believe that neutrinos or ghost particles may lead to another dimension. And where there's an abundance of neutrinos, the higher the chance of finding this other dimension or secret dimensions. So in Antarctica, a location that has a lot of strangeness, a lot of mystery, a lot of bizarre events linked to Antarctica, they placed the largest neutrino experiment where they have sensors deep underground in the Antarctic ice, where they said they found energetic neutrinos. In 2013, the Ice Cube neutrino experiment at the South Pole reported the observation of 2 ultra-high energy neutrino events. Later, they found more. In 2015, Ice Cube scientists reported the observation of an even higher energy neutrino event, one that offers scientists the best hope yet that they will be able to use the ultra-high energy neutrinos to find the source of ultra-high energy cosmic rays. The neutrino event had an energy of more than 2,000 trillion electron volts. So CERN found the neutrinos they were looking for deep in the Antarctic ice. And one has to ask, with this being just an observatory, what exactly did they do with these neutrinos in Antarctica? Well, shortly after the experiments began, which makes me believe the world's most powerful secret particle accelerator is either under this neutrino observatory or it's somewhere close by, because they are not going to spend billions of dollars just to observe these high energy neutrinos. No, they are going to find them with the observatory and then they are going to experiment. A few years later, around May of 2020, we start to get articles coming out that are titled, NASA scientists detect evidence of parallel universe where time runs backwards. In a scenario straight out of the Twilight Zone, a group of NASA scientists working on an experiment in Antarctica have detected evidence of a parallel universe where the rules of physics are the opposite of our own, according to a report. But wait a minute, when did NASA get involved? I thought that CERN and Wisconsin, the University of Wisconsin, were conducting the experiment in Antarctica. Maybe this is another particle, maybe this is another experiment. Now, continuing to read this article from the New York Post back in May 19th of 2020, the article continues to say, the concept of a parallel universe has been around since the early 1960s, mostly in the minds of fans of sci-fi TV shows and comics. But now a cosmic ray detection experiment has found particles that could be from a parallel realm that also was born in the Big Bang. This is rather interesting because back in 2013 and 2015, CERN had discovered high energy neutrino particles, which they also said could help them discover cosmic rays. The experts used a giant balloon to carry NASA's Antarctic Impulsive Transient Antenna, or ANITA, high above Antarctica, where the frigid dry air provided the perfect environment with little to no radio noise to distort its findings. The article continues to say, low energy subatomic neutrinos with a mass close to zero can pass completely through the Earth, but higher energy objects are stopped by the solid matter of our planet, according to the report. That means the high energy particles can only be detected coming down from space, according to NASA, but the team's ANITA detected heavier particles, so-called tau neutrinos, which come up out of the Earth. The findings imply that these particles are actually traveling backward in time, suggesting evidence of a parallel universe. This is where the article gets rather interesting. At the end of the article it says, of course, if there are any inhabitants of a possible parallel universe, they'd consider us the backward ones. We're left with the most exciting and the most boring possibilities, said Ibrahim Safa, who also worked on the experiment. So something happened back in 2015, 2016, where Cern discovered these high energy neutrinos that led them to discover this other dimension. They call in NASA. If NASA wasn't already there, we don't know. But they supposedly called in NASA to do some more research, and this individual, Ibrahim Safa, starts running his mouth because only 2 days later, they start to backtrack. They start to release articles. No, NASA or Cern did not discover any parallel universe in Antarctica. That is misinformation. This isn't the first time that NASA, and it's not surprising that NASA and Cern work hand in hand. These are two heavily occultic organizations. They were also working hand in hand during the April 8th solar eclipse. We had Cern running the Large Hadron Collider to find dark matter, while Cern was firing off 3 rockets known as APEP, or the Devil, at the solar eclipse. It is also not surprising that NASA would be involved with Cern in exploring other dimensions, given the fact that NASA's founder, Jack Parsons, was a student of Aleister Crowley, who was all about bringing entities over to this dimension. Remember Aleister Crowley's demon lamb. It is known the founder of NASA, Jack Parsons, is heavy in the occult. He, L. Ron Hubbard, Walt Disney, among others, would take Aleister Crowley's workings, such as the Babylon workings. They would go to deserts like the New Mexico desert, and they would practice in summoning these entities over. So NASA and Cern, they go to Antarctica and they find these high energy neutrinos, which are already linked to higher dimensions, and they find this other dimension where time runs backwards, and supposedly, according to this scientist who worked on the experiment, those who would inhabit this dimension would find us as the backwards ones. So like I said, only a couple days later, articles start to come out that no, NASA didn't find a parallel universe where time runs backwards. Sorry, but the truth is, you're stuck with this universe for now. Multiple big news agencies who first released articles about NASA finding this parallel universe are now running these articles back, such as the New York Post, only 2 days later on May 21st, are now releasing articles saying, no, scientists did not discover a parallel universe in Antarctica. Now, I'm reading this article from CNET back in May 22nd of 2020, where they go on to say how the 2020s have been very bad, but the good news is apparently scientists have discovered a parallel universe just like our own. It's a little different to ours though. In this mirror universe, or this mirror world, time runs backwards. It's like a Benjamin Button universe. That means that they're heading back to 2019. The article continues to say, well, now more bad news. I'm here to spoil the parallel universe party. Scientists haven't actually discovered a parallel universe, but you might think they have based on multiple reports from across the web. And yes, multiple big news agencies from Fox, ABC, CNN, New York Post, and so forth were all reporting the exact same thing. And like I said, only days later, they are now retracting the report. The unusual Anita events have been known and discussed since 2016, a year after Cern had discovered these neutrinos, says Ron Eckers, a honorary fellow at CSIRO, Australia's National Science Agency. After 4 years, there has been no satisfactory explanation of the anomalous events seen by Anita, so this is very frustrating, especially to those involved. Although the new scientist report was filed on April 8th, funny, the same day as the solar eclipse, just a couple years apart, the Anita results are almost 2 years old. The theory has only recently caught fire. Ever more urgent headlines have spurred its spread across social media. NASA uncovers evidence of bizarre parallel universe where physics time operate in reverse, reads one. Another says scientists may have found evidence of a parallel universe. Peter Gorham, the principal investigator on Anita, says it's some unfortunate tabloid journalism and notes an early report by the Daily Star just made some things up about myself and our experiment. I wouldn't doubt that this was leaked on purpose, quote unquote leaked on purpose, because for whatever reason, NASA, Cern, they have to let us know what they're doing, and then always a couple days later, everything gets hush-hushed. This is not what we told you. It's actually something else. Don't believe what we told you earlier. and it all gets swept under the rug. This article also mentions that there's also another neutrino observatory at the South Pole, which is the Ice Cube, which has been following up on the Anita observations and suggests the standard model of physics cannot explain these strange events. So Cern, in 2013 and 2015, just find a couple of these high energy, high charge neutrinos. NASA goes out there 1 year later and outflows a stream of these neutrinos from a spot in Antarctica. So you have to ask yourself, did somebody or someone or some organization open something up in this location? Well, like I said previously in this video, back in March of 2024, CERN has admitted inside of CERN there is this fourth dimensional entity, a neutrino, a ghost particle, exploring CERN. And they captured this fourth dimensional entity. Now we have, as coincidence may have it, quote unquote coincidence may have it, we have all these countries around the world, including the United States, Japan, and others, that want to study these neutrinos to the point that it will cost them billions and billions of dollars. Like in Antarctica, the United States, under the Dune Project, will be smashing these neutrinos together in hopes of opening this wormhole, or this parallel dimension, or this parallel universe, whatever it is you want to call it, where things will stream through. Thank you so much for watching. If you like this channel and you want to see more, please subscribe. If you're already subscribed, please like, as any engagement does help the channel grow. Once again, thank you so much for your support.